What you're about to see is the point when a scene is ready to be animated. We get together and we have a meeting where the entire animation team comes into one of the screening rooms with the director, Brad Bird, and we look at the sequence, and Brad goes over his expectations of us in animating the sequence. Oftentimes he'll get up and act out a scene, as you'll see. We typically just set up a camera in the back of the room. We're not worried about quality because it's really what's being said rather than the beautiful high quality images. It's a crucial step in our process, and we wanted to share that with you.
If you've ever been with somebody who, it's funny because you can flesh these people out when you like roast marshmallows or something. There are people who like just flame it on and then throw it on there, and they just light it up and it just burns and then they go and stick it on there. There are other people who want to get it perfectly brown without burning any of it. And Remy is that kind of guy. So Remy is all expansive, all his gestures are kind of open and like this, and Emil's all, that storm's getting closer.
The storm's getting closer. Hey, Remy, you think that maybe we shouldn't be so close?
So on the Hey Remy, I think that would be kind of neat to have one of those things where he's kind of, hey, Remy, where he can't take his eyes off of the storm. She is an old lady who fought for the resistance, so she's a tough old broad, and she knows how to use it, but she hasn't used it in a while, and she's not a very good shot at this point, But she can stay on her feet shooting a shotgun at 80 something, so she has my respect. She knows that by the time she loaded it full of shells, they'd be gone. So she's just trying to get that one last thing in it and get one shot off before they get out of there. Sure. So I would have some anxiousness in her to get it in, and maybe she's so nervous about getting it in before they escape that she's kind of, rushing it rather than being precise. And the guy who's precise and stays focused will get a shot off better shot off than the person who's rushing to get everything in there and do it. It's so
the Clint Eastwood film as they play on that.
Yeah, the Clint Eastwood thing of the guy who just goes like this and then.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has to be like the greatest pose of a cat ready to pounce. It's him literally with his knees almost up on either side of his head, just like coiled about as small as you can be with his hands, just waiting like this, and it has to be something where you almost don't think that you see it. It's just going by and suddenly it goes, yeah! It's literally a cat, just waiting, waiting with its paws out rather than like this, you know what I mean? It's like, and then it's him grabbing it and this is the one you've been waiting for. I mean, you always want to push the envelope. This is a good cartoony one to go for. Yeah. Because when he grabs it, it should just be, ah! Like there it's gonna be. You're so totally busted, and then it's like complete confusion as why it's not there, and then he looks in the hat and it's not there, and then he's got to salvage himself, because he looks like a complete idiot now. And so he just tries his best to come up with a reason he just did that. And he goes, gotcha joke, and then tries to bail himself out. So then it's all about trying to resume decorum as he's climbing down off this tray, what is it? Tray? Yeah, rack. So you have to have him get down from a tray rack with dignity. And I don't know how you do that, but you'll figure out a way.
I think I'm getting a little something there. It might be the nuttiness.
See?
Could be the tang.
That's it.
Yeah, so I think you can start to get the hands up there almost like he's starting to feel it, And I don't know if you want a little of that Amadeus stuff where he's, well, you know what I mean? Yeah, okay.
Now, imagine every great case of the world being...
So I think that you want, this is Remy coming in, and he feels like he's gotten Emil to spell cat, and suddenly he's rushing into Russian literature. You know, okay, now, yeah, okay, you got Cat. You know, now imagine War and Peace, the longest novel ever done. You know, so it's way too much for Emil to take in yet. But he's just too enthusiastic about this, and he goes a little too fast, and it breaks the spell essentially. This is an old argument, and it's one that they've had, and they have at the beginning of the film somewhat. It's like Remy doesn't like certain things about being a rat, things that Django accepts and is, you know, somewhat proud of. You know, we're survivors and da-da-da, and, you know, we aren't particular about our food, and that's why we're still around as a species when everyone hates us. You know, there's a certain amount of pride about it. With Remy, it's like, why are we eating crap? You know, why do we have to, you know? I don't accept that crap is all we have to eat. Why can't we shoot for something more? So it's gone from this kind of delicate truce to old issues.
And they're, you know, not so bad as you say they are.
Any one of those three could be the end of the sentence, but it's kind of like when somebody else doesn't talk, you keep talking. Have you noticed that? You have to be ballsy to just let a silence hang there, and I'm learning to do that. If I don't have anything else to say, I'm learning to just kind of go. Because two can play at that silence game. And but some people use silence as a way to freak you out. You know, they'll just go like that, and most people are uncomfortable with that. That's uncomfortable, so they'll just keep talking. The traditional thing that a guy would do to a girl to kind of impress her is try to scare her a little bit so she holds on a little tighter, you know, or whatever. And, you know, to show, hey, I'm not afraid, and isn't this cool? I mean, it's a little bit of that. So it's just reversed. She's kind of gunning it a little bit and swerving around between traffic. And he's trying to act like he's having a good, lighthearted time, but he's actually a little bit afraid. So it's him kind of ha ha. Yeah, you know.
Is he enjoying any of it?
Oh yeah, he's enjoying it, but it's, you know, it's like two parts enjoyment and one part fear. You know what I mean? And then I think she throws on her helmet. Oh, is she gonna have her helmet in this? We had to have her some other time to show that she did wear it, but she's getting careless. I'm sure we're going to get letters from the Motorcycle Head Injury Society or whatever. But I'll just say, you know what? I hear you, but I work for the Storytelling Improvement Society, so we sometimes conflict. So when he comes back, which is right after this, to his workplace, it's kind of with the knowledge of how thin the layer of civility is and how immediately it could go away. He's been reminded that he's not really moved up very far, that if he's outside of this little protective bubble that he exists with Linguini. If Linguini loses interest in him or decides not to do it anymore, he's back to being a rat. All of his achievements mean nothing. It's an odd scene, but I think it should be done very sincerely. I think even the Gusteau is an entity that Remy needs, and it is something that is guiding him towards a place that he needs to go. So it should be done as if this is a very, a separate person that is a very caring, wise person. But what it is the caring, wise person inside yourself. Ultimately, it should come down to simple gestures and sincere expressions and all of the stuff that we do. But I think that, it doesn't hurt to know what is going on the deeper layers of this. Because I think that, whether we like it or not, what we're doing is telling stories that, we're doing mythology in a really high-tech way, but it's still mythology. What this is in the first shot here is that she is crying as she's driving. And there should be she should feel fairly uninhibited, even though, I mean, I don't mean sobbing like or anything like that, but I mean she lets down her guard because she's alone. And so there needs to be a readable expression on her face that is, you know, strong, and meaning a pose that's easy to read. Her hair is going to be blowing around in the wind, but her expression, and you know, we should not have a lot of animation in this in terms of the head should be pretty well locked in the screen, not moving around much in terms of screen space. And we should really read that she's in her own private place, and she's not looking at the road, and she's thinking about, you know, the fact that, you know, this ride that she was on is over.
Not too much vinaigrette on that salad compose. Don't let that bear blank separate. Keep whisking.
Okay. Don't let that bear blank separate. So you're the camera. He kind of turns over and goes like that, you know. Okay. So yeah, he's yelling all around the kitchen as he's moving forward. And so he can yell away from camera, he can yell toward camera, but you want to have him just kind of, you know, shouting in every different direction. And it's not important that we see the stuff that he's talking about. It's just important that we know that stuff's going on all over the place. You know, he's a drill sergeant, but he's also loving this, you know, because he's getting to be, you know, the king of kings here. He doesn't have to hide. And there's something funny to me about him giving all these very sensitive food things, yeah, and saying, gently do that, you know, in the most non-gentle way. I love him. So I think that we should just play that. I think that he's loving this, and it's like pro football. When they come out, they have a little bit of a glow. They somehow survived what was sure to be a disaster evening, and they came out of it with their skin. So yeah, they're coming out. And Remy is kind of like, you know, that went surprisingly well. Now, that Emile and Django, now that the work is done, they're back on all fours. They're comfortable with being rats. But Remy is coming out up on two legs. And it's not offensive to Django and Emile that he is doing so. And so it's kind of a weird sequence because he's basically saying, I'm not a human and I'm not a rat, I'm me. This is kind of based on the idea that one thing that we heard and I read in research that was done for this project is that a lot of cooks don't like the pressure of a three-star restaurant. They get that that's where the glory is, you know, in terms of the ultimate in that industry, but if you're really all about the food, then some of that three-star stuff gets a little absurd, you know, about how the napkins are folded and how many little scratches the dinnerware has on it. And it starts getting to be not about just the food. And so a lot of them might get their 3 stars and then bail and go, okay, I did my thing, I played in the pros, and now I'm gonna, you know, just focus on food and being happy. Other than that, it's very simple. The Ego's a happier person. His manner should be lighter than we've seen anywhere else in the film. He's kind of like Scrooge at the end of Christmas Carol, you know. Brilliant lad, you know. What day is it? Oh, it's Christmas Day, sir. Oh, an extraordinary lad, you know. So it's kind of, it's not that, but he's enjoying his meal, he's enjoying his life. He's not hated by people as much. He is putting his money where his mouth is, so he's risking a little more than critics tend to risk, and it's paying off for him. So all of his, he's feeling good about things, and he's probably more comfortable. You know, this little place is nicer than his big cold office, and so that's what it is. It's the happy ending.